right, so here we have the book from Tony Robbins, Life Force. It's a 750-page book. I read it from the beginning to the end, and I don't regret it. So it's like a non-profit book, basically. It goes to his non-profit organization, Feeding America, and that's where they feed people in need. I bought the book because look at it. It's such a nice book. Like it's so shiny, and not shiny, but it just looks so nice. And I knew Tony Robbins when I bought the book, but I really only bought it because I like how the book looked like. I had all my other books, you know, stacked in my library like this, and this book then I had like this. But then I decided to read it. I don't know why. I thought I'm never gonna read such a fat book, and then I did somehow, and I'm surprised I did. I don't know how I did it. It happened because it was just so good. It was so interesting. Things you learn are not just interesting, but you can then actually, you read it and then you can immediately change something in your life and improve your health. So it's a lot of things that, he shows a lot of things that cost money and a lot of things that don't cost any money to really improve your health. It also talks about broccoli sprouts, how they have something in it, I forgot the name, but broccoli sprouts, and they have something that are extremely powerful. They work extremely powerful against cancer. It's like this magic thing. And broccoli sprouts, you know, who would think that, but they've been around all the time, but no one really knows about that. So there's all these gems, jewels inside this book. He suggests to read it a little bit different, but we'll get into that now. So here we have his book, Money, also a very fat book. And here we have his book, Life Force. And the one is about money, and the other one is about something completely different. Tony Robbins, I would say, is someone who really wants to help people improve their lives, not just in one area, but in everything. So I understand why he wrote Money, because a lot of us struggle with that, you know, with finances, and to really manage and understand the mindset of money. This is a great book. Also, he wrote Unshakable. That is a very thin book compared to both. And I just started reading it. I have not finished reading it, but this is also very good. Anyway, why you're here is Life Force. So Life Force was written because he had an accident. This is why I think this is like a new thing he has in his repertoire, is the regenerative medicine. In German, it's regenerative Medizin. I read it in German. But he now has this in his repertoire, and it's about longevity, I think the English word would be, and that is to live not only longer, but to live longer, and now most importantly, healthy. So it's normal these days that we get old and then we kind of, you know, we're in a wheelchair, or we're just really old, and for 10 years we kind of just exist but don't live, and then we die. And this book is about changing that and being absolutely healthy until the day you actually die, that you go to sleep, you're 100 years old, and you just fall asleep and you're dead, you're fine. You died healthy. That's really what this is about. These are my words now, to die healthy, but that sums it up pretty well. And he wrote this book, I think, it's my opinion, is because he had a snowboard accident and he hurt his shoulder really bad. And he went to different doctors, and they all told him, you're effed. And you can't do any sports anymore, and we're gonna have to do an operation, and you're gonna be able to move your shoulder just a little bit like this. And Tony Robbins, as he is, didn't take that as an acceptable answer. So he then tried stem cell therapy. And stem cell therapy is something that also Cristiano Ronaldo had done on his, I think it was his foot or his ankle. And he was supposed to be out for 3 months, and he did the stem cell therapy and was back on the field playing after 3 weeks. So that's the power of stem cells. What is a stem cell? A stem cell is in German it's pluripotent, so it has basically it's something and it can turn into anything, meaning it can turn into a heart cell, a lung cell, a muscle cell. It can turn into anything in the body. That's why stem cells are so valuable. And he had the accident. He went to the doctors. They all, gave him no hope. He did the stem cell therapy, and now he also had his spine is not really straight. It's curved, and so he always had pain in his spine, but it's a pain he could live with. But the pain he felt in his shoulders after that accident, as he said, was a 9.9 out of 10, so unbearable. He could just sleep for maybe an hour. And he did the stem cell therapy, and after about 2 days, for the first time he woke up in, 40 years, or since being a teenager, he had no pain in his spine. And the shoulder was healed. It was the pain was gone. It was almost completely gone, and he could move it again. So, and you can imagine how that would then just amaze you by just getting a shot, a stem cell therapy, getting the shot, and then suddenly no operation needed, and now you're fine. And even in addition, something was healed that you didn't really, you yourself gave hope. You gave yourself, he gave up the hope to maybe have his spine healed. He just was gonna live with it, and now it's healed. So there comes a new life force within him, I think, for sure. And also helped him understand that, hey, I can get really old and be really fit and even muscular and strong. And that's so possible, and it's so necessary to have a certain amount of muscles on you. It doesn't matter how old you are, and it doesn't matter when you're 70 years old and you're watching this. You can start now. Go lift weights. Go just increase the muscle mass, and that's also going to then increase your bone density, which is something he also says in the book. He talks about diagnostics, the most modern diagnostics, and what to measure, and for you to be healthy, stay healthy, and be healthy in the future. And one is also bone density, and the other one is your hormones. So how much testosterone do you have, for instance, within you? And our usual level is from 250 to 900. It's just these two numbers which we vary in between. And once our testosterone level sinks, though, we don't have all that much energy. And to get that right and get that up again is a big game changer. He talks about it in the book. He also talks about, and this is also one thing that I think he wrote the book, is he was having like brain fog, and where he would be on stage and then suddenly he couldn't remember like what he was going to say. It was just like blank for a few seconds. Now, today, even though it happens often that people go to the doctor and they're then diagnosed with, the English word would be dementia, I think. In German it's Demenz, but I'm sure it's like dementia. And that's not true though, and they have a Quecksilber, that's the German word, English word bird. Well, they have like a metal, they have too much metals within them, and that's why the cognitive power decreases. So, you have dementia, but no, it's not true. You actually just have too much metal within you. And he had the same thing. He always was eating tuna because he thought, it is healthy, but he was eating a lot of tuna, but in that tuna is also a lot of metals. So, and when he got tested, the doctor said, now your number is at you have to come now. First of all, we got to treat you immediately. And your number is 120. And the highest that doctor had ever measured someone at was like 60 or 70. So he was like, you could put a magnet next to him and he would be just drawn to it probably. So that's that. And so yeah, it talks about stem cells, it talks about diagnostics, it talks about the importance of hydration. Basic things that we think are so not high tech that it's not worth to pay attention to them, but those are like big game changers. Just water, quality of water, amount of water, what happens when you're hydrated, what happens when you're not hydrated. and it gets really, deep, and so you really understand it. And once you understand something, then you can really develop this urge, this I must change it, because now you know. And I think this is a great book to find the must to then change your health, to really take charge. You have no other way, because now you know. You read the book, now you know. You must change a few things in your life in terms of your health. So aging has become actually a disease, like it's in the books. It's, what do you have? You have diabetes, you've aged. That's the thing now. It's a sickness, aging. Because, and that's again his goal, be super healthy until you, ideally the day before you die, you're still super healthy and fit. He suggests to read it, the first few chapters, last chapters, and everything in between. If you have, diabetes, Alzheimer, you're gonna then just go to it, find out how you can, be helped or help someone else. It's such a long book, and I tried to do a video before, and I got to page 150, and I had already recorded 1 hour. So it would take me 7 hours to really tell you everything that I want to tell you that's inside this book. I'm not going to do that, but if you have any questions, let me know. I'd be glad to help you, just as Tony was glad to help me. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I could give you some feeling for the book. Maybe I gave you a reason to then actually buy it and read it. He also mentioned in here a study that only 10%, so 10% of the people that buy books, that purchase books, they actually read beyond the first chapter. It's only 10%. So maybe you can change that statistic a little bit and read beyond the first chapter. And I think you will if you do. Because, look, I just open up right here, right now, just some random page, and here's the ear. This is an ear that was printed in a 3D printer, made from, it was made for a soldier who had lost his ear, whilst being next to a grenade, and he lost his ear. And they printed his ear basically in a 3D printer, and now has it there, and it looks like he never lost his ear. There's just all this crazy stuff about how technology is evolving. Like the same thing he was talking about, the human genome, the human genome, I think that's the English word, in 1993 to 2001 or so. It took him about 10 years to sequence from one person the human genome, and it cost, I think, $2.8 billion, something ridiculous. And today it takes a few hours and costs $500. So you can see how it's evolved, and it just keeps on going like this, just keeps on going like this. And the same thing with the cell phone, like when they flew to Mars, and the power of their computers were not nearly as strong as the power of the computer in your cell phone that you have in your pocket. It's just crazy how technology is evolving. And crazy, though, in a good way that is very beneficial, especially for health. Of course, on one hand, we have cell phones and we have this posture, and it's so bad. And it makes our spine, it just kind of gives us a different posture. Usually when we're in this posture, back in the time, we would only be if we're hurt, right? If we have some injury, and now so our body kind of thinks we've been injured while we're being on the phone. To stand like this is normal, but it's difficult to be on your phone like that. And he also talks about then, it's called the back bridge, and I use it every day now. And it's just this simple thing you put on the floor, and it has this, curved rubber pads. You can set them to different levels depending on how flexible you are, and then you just lay on it for 2 minutes. And then I'm really stiff at the beginning, and then after a few minutes I kind of melt down, and then it just feels so good. And it's just because he also mentioned that, and it's just all these many little gems that are just, I love it. And now I'm finished, though. I'll call it a day now, and hope you had a little insight in Tony Robbins' life force. Goodbye.